Hello everyone, and welcome to this EC Aquatics video. So this right in front of you is a Christmas ornament that I saw at Michael's. And I think the intention is that you draw on it or something like that, because you can take the top off and it's clear. But me being me, I decided I'm gonna make this a terrarium. So, and it's pretty small. It's probably 4 or 5 inches high and probably the same around. It's a globe, and I've got it just standing on a little wreath thingy that'll keep it steady while I'm planting it and setting everything up. And it only cost like $2 or something like that at Michael's. I'll leave a link to down below, so if you want to pick one up, you can. Be a nice Christmas decoration. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to add in our false bottom. For our false bottom, we're going to be adding in these just little pea gravels. Very small. It'll be able to fit through the little entrance. And what a false bottom does is it kind of is an area for water to collect so your soil doesn't get really saturated and soaked. And the false bottom doesn't need to be very deep. And I'm just adding in the gravel with my hand because that's the only way that I can do it. Alrighty, so that should be good for our false bottom. That's enough. And now we're going to add in our soil that we're going to be using. And for the actual substrate, we're going to be using this Zoomed Tropical BioBlend, which I saw at the pet store. I was going to go buy more Repta soil, but I saw this and it seems like it's Repta soil with more stuff added in, like sphagnum moss and cork bark and stuff like that. That'll make things even better as a substrate for the terrarium. So it's got a nice mix of soil and bark and moss and stuff like that. That creates a great substrate environment in your aquariums. As you can see, there's some sphagnum moss there. There's a mix of soil and stuff like that. So I will add this into the terrarium. And obviously we're not going to need to add all that much soil to this terrarium, as it is very, very small. So definitely not going to need this whole bag. Fortunately, it seems like all the sphagnum moss is on top of the soil. It's not actually mixed in with the bark and the soil. So I'm just going to try and get a nice handful of soil with a bit of sphagnum moss and just add it in manually. Hopefully not get all that much over the table, which I have already failed in doing. But that's okay. That should be plenty. All right, now that I've got the dirt all cleaned out, I'm going to adjust our soil with some of these tools that Hygger was kind enough to send me. So in this toolkit, which you can find on Hygger's website, and I'll leave a link in the description below, I've got this little substrate scraper, I've got scissors, I've got bent tweezers, and I've got straight tweezers. I will be using both the straight tweezers and the bent tweezers today, but right now, the bent ones are what we need, because this little area right here I can use to scrape and adjust the soil. And just so you know, even though I'm scaping this, and that should be perfect. Now the soil's leveled out and angled a bit more towards the back, so now we can add in our hardscape and then our moss. And for our main hardscape, I'm going to be using these pieces of Seiryu Stone. They're just big Seiryu Stone bits broken up by a hammer, and just place them in there as if they're a small little mountain range in the back of our terrarium. And once again for this, I will be using these curved tweezers, just so I'm able to get in there and orient these stones where I want them to sit. Hopefully I can get them to sit up straight like that. Alright, that seems like a decent amount of Seiryu Stone. Alright, so I'm going to go to some woods that are right behind my house and collect some moss that we can use to then add into this little container. All right, so I'm now in the woods behind my house, as you can see, and I'm just here to collect the plants that we're going to be using. And for that, we are going to be using, of course, moss. Tons of different mosses that are growing out here, and I'm just going to collect a whole bunch of them and put them in this old takeout container so then I can bring them back and actually plant them in our little Christmas ornament. And I don't know the names of these individual mosses, but their care is pretty much the same, if I'm not mistaken. And if anyone actually knows the names of the different mosses that I'm using, let me know down in the comments below what the names are so that I can learn. All right, I got a whole bunch of this moss collected now. This took me like no time at all. I just found this really nice little area right over here. And this should be more than enough for our little snow globe ornament thingy. I'm just gonna take this now back to my house, and now we're gonna plant our thingy. Alrighty, we're back with our moss. Got a whole bunch here. It's nice and wet still, and I'm gonna now just add it in so it covers basically the whole surface of this little terrarium. And I'm gonna shape it with our curved tweezers and the straight tweezers as well. Just gonna get in and just plop them in there, and then shift this moss around. All right, now that we've got all our moss in, I also collected some little sticks that I'm also going to add in just right on top of some of this moss to finish off this little scape. Challenge will be just sneaking these guys through. That's enough sticks, and let me give you guys a little close-up of what it looks like. Just kind of looks like, to me, just what you'd kind of find on a forest floor. I think it looks really natural. I really enjoy this, and this is actually my first time really setting up a terrarium like this. So hopefully this wasn't a too terrible of an attempt at setting up a terrarium. I think it looks really good. I do wish the Seiryu Stone had a little bit more height, but we were dealing with a very, very small opening, and anything with any kind of height would have been too large and too wide to sneak through. So now the only thing left is to add in some water and then close it up, and we're all done. Alrighty, and I filled up this tiny little cup with some dechlorinated tank water, and now I'm just gonna pour it in. It's good, just like that, with one little cup of water in there. Moss doesn't need to be too wet, so we don't need to drench it. And I'm gonna put the little cap back on. There we go. The little cap is now on, and the terrarium is now complete. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little build. Maybe it inspired you to go out and get one of these terrariums of your own to set up. If not, I hope it just entertained you. See something different done to make a terrarium. This was actually probably the most challenging build I've ever done, simply because this was really hard to get actual hardscape through this little hole, but I think it looks really, really nice. Hopefully this moss survives and this terrarium thrives. And also thank you to Hygger for sending me their scaper kit. If you want one of those, I'll leave a link to it down in the description. Feel free to pick one up for yourselves. And that's really all I've got for you today. So thank you all for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. And I will see you all in the next one.